I bet both of these players didn't expect that previous result, but here we are, Gamers8 here now into our second round of 8 match, and it's going to be Reynor going up against ByuN to find out who goes up against Clem from that previous one. Joining me to my left-hand side, ZG and Wardy here to talk about this one. We don't actually have much time. I was going to ask you about the previous series because that was crazy and fantastic, but Reynor versus ByuN. ZG, talk to me.
Okay, really quickly, this is just going to be really an awesome TVZ matchup, and then it's going to
be that quick.
fun, and then it's, oh, okay,
Okay,
calm
phew.
down. All right, then. Well, ByuN's really good.
He is good.
Reynor's really awesome.
Okay, do it properly.
No, but I'm thinking back to the most recent match, the most recent best of 5, where of course ByuN was experiencing a lot of wrist trouble in Yangshipeng. And I do recall him also kind of throwing a game away a little bit into Marines. So I'm excited, but I'm a little worried that we're gonna have something like that happen. Not the wrist issues necessarily, but just ByuN not playing it as 100% best.
Yeah, that was a heartbreaking series.
Yeah.
I was casting it, and
it
was kind of difficult to cast because, you know, players throw games, right? People lose games, but at this level, what ByuN did in that 30-second period was like unheard of, right? Like, it was like that series was his. He won that series in my eyes, and that's not being mean to Reynor or anything. It's not trying to be funny. Like,
I get you. I just
think he won that series, and then he clearly had a lot of wrist issues. And that's something you got to overcome, right? You got to be able to kind of get through that. And so far this event, I don't think that's been as much of a thing for him.
Right.
But for me, that kind of is the talking point because I think he's got some of the best TVZ in the world right now. He's so creative in his build orders. He's such a pain in the butt to play against because he can do so many different things. He's so good. His Reaper control can be absolutely top-notch. But he has to be able to finish out the series if it goes long. And that, I think, is actually the biggest challenge for ByuN here.
And whilst we were watching the map Vitos as well, I do also think there's a world where ByuN's a little fortunate to be here in the round of 8. That series versus Dark, obviously Dark leaves that first game very quickly. It could have played out a little longer, and who knows where that could have gone.
Yeah, I do agree. His TVZ hasn't looked, perfect, I suppose, but it's obviously still very good, even though Dark arguably could have had a chance more so in that game and overall in the series. I'm definitely not taking that away from ByuN's ability to play the matchup in a spectacular fashion. I also feel like Dark is that Zerg that always throws a wrench in, right? It's just a very difficult Zerg player to go up against, whereas Reynor does usually play more typically. He's just obviously very good at playing Ling, Baneling. So I think ByuN does come in usually at a high point in this type of situation, and I feel very confident for ByuN's chances to win. But then there is that issue of like, oh, last time this happened, it really wasn't, it was not the best for him because of other reasons. And then Reynor does have a magical ability to make runs in these offline tournaments.
Definitely so. And with what we've seen so far here, he might be able to move through into this round of 4. Of course, Reynor is a whirlwind of a player, Wardy, and is looking to probably disrupt that from ByuN once again here.
Yeah, and Reynor's had a couple troubles in this event, right? He lost a Classic, he had a tough time against Showtime, he had a tougher time against Solar. The one player he's looked good against, Oliveira. Looked so good in ZVT. And that's an Oliveira that troubled Solar the round before that as well. So that gives me good faith in his ZVT as well. I feel like his ZVT might just be his best matchup right now, if based on what we've seen this weekend.
Maybe. Final thoughts, ZG, before we get to it?
It's going to be explosive. I hope it's another 3-2, and I hope both players actually get to play their absolute best.
Yes, I don't want to speedrun today, that's for sure here at Gamers8. A lot is on the line for these players as we now get to our next best of 5. It is going to be ByuN going up against Reynor to find out who moves into the round of 4 and goes up against Clem there down the line. Let's find out who's able to win.
This next match, Fancy, is between 2 players who are known for their smiles and great attitude. They're also known for being the only 2 players who lost at Classic. Was the only one that both of them lost to. There we go, I found my way through that sentence.
There you go. But honestly, the one thing that I'm looking for this match is the handshake, because it's going to be a good one. أنا مشاهدين جاء الوقت الآن لنشهد المباراة الثانية معنا في الربع النهائي. في المباراة هذه راح نشهد 2 من أبطال العالم، من اللاعبين الأفضل اللي قدروا إنهم يوصلون إلى اللحظة هذه. ما خسروا إلا مباراة واحدة أمام كلاسيك، لكن كل المباريات الثانية قدروا إنهم يفوزونها في الجروب ستيج، والآن راح ينافسون بعض على مقعد واحد في السيمي فاينلز.
The winner of this next match will go on to face Clem in the semifinals. It's very exciting, and of course, so much on the line here. This is a best of 5 single elimination, so unfortunately, our loser will be done.
We might have a non-Korean semi-finals in Gamers8 if Reynor can make it, لكن بنفس الوقت بيون اعزائنا المشاهدين احنا عارفين انه هو يعتبر من الافضل في الجي اس ال في كل البطولات اللي هو شارك فيها، دائما حاط المارك حقته من 2019 الناس يعرفونه كافضل اللاعبين في العالم في التيرن، لكن المره هذه راح نشوف شيء ممكن يقدمه، يبدو لي ان اللاعبين جاهزين ان نرحب فيهم على المسرح.
Think of time. If our players are ready, we can bring them out.
I mean, let's do it.
But maybe they're not ready. Maybe they're just chilling back there. I mean, this is a big
let me
thing. They
check.
kind of want to think it through. What do you see? Do you see them?
Yeah, I see them backstage.
All right, let's
I
bring
think they're
out our
ready.
players. And our first one on my side is going to be over here. From Team Basilisk, Reynor! The youngest foreigner to play in GSL. The youngest to make it to a WCS final as well. Will he be the very first to win at Gamers8 in Riyadh? Well, he'll have to get through ByuN if he wants to do that.
فعلا بيون من اقوى الناس اللي ممكن يواجههم، لكن رينر هو جاهز النقطه هذه، خصوصا انه زي ما احنا عارفين عنه هو الشخص اللي في عمر 17 فقط قدر انه يفوز كثير من الدبليو سي اس فاينلز اللي احنا شاهدناها، وهو يعتبر اصغر مشارك فيها، وحتى معروف اصلا في تاريخ ستار كرافت 2 في انحاء العالم انه من افضل اللاعبين الاوروبيين، انه فاز في اغلب الدبليو سي اس الاوروبيه اللي شاهدناها في السنين الماضيه، لكن جاء الوقت الان نرحب بخصمه، وايضا زي ما احنا عارفين هو من افضل اللاعبين الكوريين، لكن هالمره بيكون مباراه مختلفه، اللي عندنا نون كوريين ضد كوريين، فعشان كذا بدنا نرحب فيه على طول، جاهز يطلع على المسرح. من فريق شوبيفاي ريبليون بيون. من اقوى اللاعبين في عالم ستار كرافت في كوريا، وقدر انه يكتسح العالم كله بعد ما شاهدناه ينافس ضد البطولات العالميه في اوروبا، ايضا قدر ياخذ كثير من الجي اس ال تورنمنت ومنافس فيها دائما في النهائيات، والان جاي عندنا في جيمرز 8 منافسه مع رينر على مقعد واحد فقط في السيمي فاينلز.
With wins over Elaser, Creator, and Dark falling only to Classic in this tournament, ByuN has a wealth of experience in competitive StarCraft, but will he be taking home a wealth of money? He's got to get through this match first, and he's got to get through Reynor.
لعب 4 مباريات معنا في الجروب ستيج، قدر يفوز ب3 منها، خسر مباراة واحدة فقط، لكن كل المباريات هذه هو عارف ايش اللي ممكن يسويه، وقد واجه زرق بلاير اصلا من اول، فالان بيكون عنده فرصة يواجههم مرة ثانية في هذه البطولة، وخلينا نشوفهم على طول يبدون يجهزون المباراة.
Reynor, ByuN, will you join us at the center stage and shake hands?
Very excited for this.
Let's see if they will. I'm not quite sure if they're gonna.
It's gonna happen. اوكي، يبدو لي انهم جاهزين كلهم، ولا واحد منهم بيسلم على الثاني ولا كلمه، كلهم صامتين بس يبتسمون لبعض، يبدو لي انه راح يتلاقون الان في المباراه وبيصفون حساباتهم، فخلونا نشوف وش اللي ممكن يصير مع المعلقين على طول.
If the match is as spicy as the handshake, it's gonna be a good one. Let's send it off to the casters and hop in.
Hello, everybody. We are ready to go into this best of 5 here. This is going to be Reynor versus ByuN. I'm Tasteless. Back with me is Artosis. How are you doing, man?
My head is still swimming, to be perfectly honest with you, Tasteless. Seeing Clem take down Maru in a pretty dominating fashion. Up is down, left is right, and now it's time to see if that can happen again. Well, they are both former world champions, but will the Korean Terran lose once again?
You know, coming into this, I really thought this was going to be a pretty straightforward matchup. I thought Reynor pretty clearly favored here, although ByuN's been steadily improving. But man, when you see an upset like that from Clem, you know that anything is possible in a tournament like Gamers8.
Yeah, well, you know, honestly, ByuN is playing so well recently. I could see him taking down Reynor. They have some pretty crazy matches in their history together. And honestly, I think ByuN is better than he's ever been right now. You know, even for the last couple months, I've been thinking to myself, you know, Gamers8 is the next big tournament coming up. And I've been thinking that ByuN should get like a top 4 here. So we're going to see if he's able to do that over Reynor, who, while still being very strong in the tournament, hasn't really looked like championship quality.
Yeah, I can't wait to get into this, and it looks like that time is finally here. In the bottom right, in the red, our Terran player, he is ByuN. And his opponent here in the upper left, in the blue, our Zerg from Italy, he is Reynor.
Yeah, now the only question that remains is, as we get into game number 2, will that hat be on or off?
That is the question. We did see some ruffled feathers from Reynor earlier as, you know, he had to try to fight back.
That was his hair, actually.
That was,
but yeah,
it
hat head is what we call it for humans.
Yeah, let's see, you know, how this series pans out. You know, ByuN is a player who really was on top of the world, and of course winning a GSL, beating SOS, and kind of one of the craziest GSL finals that you and I ever were able to cast. I mean, it was the entire team of SOS basically trying to help SOS, of all people, concoct a set of build orders that would make him the champion, but it was actually the raw strength of the micro of ByuN that allowed him to come through and win. And we can't forget, of course, ByuN becoming the world champion as well. But in the modern era, in 2023, ByuN has been overshadowed by Terrans inside Korea and out. But I think in this year, we've seen him improve quite a bit, and I think there is some promise that he could go deep and even surpass Reynor here at this Gamers8.
Yeah, I think so. You know, he's really filled himself in quite a bit at this point. You know, he was a little bit one-dimensional, I think, for a big chunk of his StarCraft 2 career. But since he's got out of the military, there has been that steady improvement, and like really specifically in the last few months, I have very much enjoyed his play. Maybe the last 6 months now. Time is kind of a crazy thing to try to think about, like, oh, how long ago was Katowice? He was playing pretty well there too, and at this point, even better. So we're going to see if he is able to do something against Reynor here. He's doing his 3 Reaper opening, might even be a 2 Reaper opening. We'll see about that. Very quick reactor up there as well.
Yeah, the double racks opening is really something that ByuN has popularized now, not only inside Korea, but outside as well. You know, you would think that getting an entire extra barracks just to get another Reaper doesn't seem very cost efficient, but it does seem to allow you to control the game in a very different way, at a very different tempo than had you just gone for the 1 barracks.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be just 2 Reapers. And don't forget, like, a lot of times this is 3 Reapers, so that's something that Reynor does not know about quite yet. He does have an Overlord kind of checking that out at the moment, so he should know very quickly here. Yeah, see, he sees the 3rd racks, he sees the reactor, and he should know exactly which build this is. ByuN has already used this weekend.
This is one of the forks in the road of the builder that ByuN's developed. So as you were saying, there's normally 3 Reapers. The idea in this case is because everybody knows that he goes for the 3 Reapers, he cuts 1 in order to kind of cut some corners, so to speak. And so he goes for the 3 barracks, but Reynor, being very on top of everything involving scouting, identifies the 3 racks, and I think this puts ByuN actually in a pretty bad position. The idea is that he would have a lot of momentum with a push with Stim without Medivacs very early on.
Yes.
But, you know, when it comes to ZVT from the Zerg's perspective and holding off attacks like this, knowing is more than half the battle. And so he should be able to just, you know, completely stonewall this out and be fine.
You know, the thing I like about ByuN's build, maybe more than anything, is no matter what, you are going to force units out of your opponent. Whether they know about it or not, they are going to have to make those units. And the thing is, you don't have Medivacs, so you can't really finish them. So I think actually oftentimes it's the right move to move out and then just go home. Like, you do not, if you end up losing this group, I think you're always behind.
Yeah. One thing, though, with ByuN, we have seen him actually hyper-commit.
Yeah, sometimes.
That is a thing with ByuN. But I agree with what you're saying. Probably that's the best of, you know, the not great options you've got is to try to come out and put some pressure on and then go back and take a 3rd base quickly here. We should note that Reynor is able to counterattack in ways that are much more difficult to deal with than even what some of these other Zergs that are also top tier can do. But I don't think that's going to be a factor just yet here as we see this initial push come down. And by the way, the 3rd command center started.
A lot of Zerglings being made right now. That is a serious amount of links. Reynor is looking to kill off this group of Marines. Now, if he can walk out the group of Marines, not end up losing them, maybe even shave off some Lings that overcommit towards him, he's going to be pretty happy with that. But realistically, can he do damage with this? I would say no.
Yeah, well, he shouldn't, right? I mean, Reynor should have, you know, this calculated out to just deal with this. We see so far no queens are killed. The Lings get the surround, and my fears did become true, Artosis. We did see ByuN commit to this. And to what benefit? To kill off some Zerglings? Not a single queen was killed.
Yeah, no queens. He got rid of a little bit of the creep doomers and whatnot, but got away with most of the units as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and wipe my hands of that one, say that that's even enough that it's not going to greatly impact this game. Now, if he goes back in and loses these Marines, that's another story. He's being a little bit greedy with that Marine movement right now.
And the 4th hatchery has started before the 3rd command center, has landed. And, you know, I would imagine as far as TVZ goes, ByuN is going to use the, a mixture of the different build orders we've already seen from him with this. I mean, he seems to be at the very forefront, at the very cutting edge of this idea as a strategy and as a build order, the slightest reaper pressure into, the different forks and variations of this build. But I would say that for the next couple minutes, it's going to be very difficult for ByuN to find any kind of real opportunities here.
Well, ByuN is really massing up units at the moment. He has his 1-1 started pretty well in line with Reynor's, and he's gone up to 5 barracks at this point already, landing this 3rd command center, getting those medevacs out. So ByuN is going to have a big army to work with here very, very shortly.
Yeah, we got that CC landing now. The SCV is being transferred over here. 1-1 is on the way for Reynor. And he's really in the growth game. Now, I don't think this is going to be the easiest game for him either, from as far as pressure from ByuN goes. We've got the 1 o'clock spot over here being taken for Reynor, and the base just at the very far left-hand side of the screen in the middle of the map for Reynor as well. ByuN might have to pick one of those and see if he can put pressure on. But if Reynor's able to swat away attacks on either side, it's going to be a very tough late game here for ByuN.
That is for sure. You got to keep that pressure on. You're going to go for this very bio-heavy play. We'll see if he ever gets into Ghost or anything like that, or keeps his very aggressive, tempo-oriented Marine Marauder medevac play. Does pick up right there and boosts forward, looking for another angle to try to get some damage.
Okay, we see that he's spotted the Marines over here. There's just no way that he's going to be able to make this work on the ground, and in fact, an entire medevac's worth of units is now out of the picture. The drop's going to continue on here, but I do worry for ByuN. He needs to find some damage. He needs to find something to curb the growth that's about to be happening on 5 different bases for Reynor.
Well, it does look like he's boosting up to the top left corner. That medevac could come in handy at some point. The rest of his bioforce just kind of roaming about, trying to get rid of some of this creep. He does have some Widow Mines in there. The armory is done, which is kind of nice, as well as 2-2 already started.
Okay, we see ByuN continuing to roam here, but of course Reynor's always ready to try to stop that. And there's the Reynor harass that I've talked about so many times here. The fact that this was not walled in means it's going to be very difficult for ByuN to put out this fire. So many SCVs are going to be picked off, and you can see the Reynor breaks off a group of those Zerglings to go over here and cause even more chaos in the main.
Oh man, this really is Reynor's superpower. So good at the counter Zergling harassment. 20 plus SCVs going down, still hasn't cleaned it. ByuN turning his army around as well. These are the types of things that make you lose a game as a Terran.
Yeah, I mean, I think that ByuN didn't give himself a lot of opportunities early on here when the Overlord scouted the tech with the 3 Raxes, but now, and you can see it in ByuN's face here, now Reynor is nearly maxed out. ByuN at what, about 120 supply here, which means that very soon Reynor is going to set up here for another possibly killing blow, and this could even be the beginnings of it right here.
Yeah, the Baneling's rolling in. That's going to be it. ByuN GG's. The harassment of Reynor, way too strong there. ByuN just had no real defense. That's a heartbreaking one for ByuN. You could see the look on his face. The opener wasn't that bad or anything. He just wasn't ready for the amount of Lings that Reynor hit him with.
But I do think if you can't find any damage when you go for that 3 Rax play like that, and it looks like Reynor's going to be able to get both, the bases in the exterior perimeter of his starting position set up. I mean, that is 5 base to 3. And, not a lot of medevacs to harass. It just seemed like it was a really rough game here from ByuN. And it does seem like ByuN will occasionally hit a wall against these really good macro Zergs, these guys that really don't struggle, your Cheryls, your Reynors. in the past. You know, your rogues is an example. And, you know, here comes that initial push in. But, you know, look, if you spot the 3 racks play, all you have to do is make the right amount of units, and you should never, even at lower levels of play, have to worry about that. But, of course, this counterattack is really what completely caused the entire game from ByuN's perspective to take a total nosedive.
Well, you know, he may have looked, and in fact, I would be shocked if he hadn't looked at the match between ByuN and Dark. This is kind of what Dark was doing against ByuN as well, that ByuN was having a hard time with, these zergling counterattacks. Because the way ByuN really likes to play that type of situation is keeping pressure on, and he never really has defense at home. So great moves there from Reynor, takes the lead with a 1-0. And I tell you what, like, that is probably the most important game against ByuN, other than the winning game, right? Like, you can actually set his mindset on the wrong track.
You know, it was interesting getting a shot of each of the players at their seats. You know, both Reynor and ByuN are very charismatic individuals, you know, when they're not on, you know, in the booth playing. But when you see them there together, you know, one the winner, one the loser, you can really see the intensities there on both sides. And again, we're only just getting started. Over here in the upper left, in the blue, he is Reynor. Reynor, one of the players that does talk to himself, by the way. Not even trying to tease him there. In the bottom right, in the red, our Korean Zerg, I'm sorry, Terran player, excuse me, he is ByuN. I was still thinking about talking about Reynor kind of muttering to himself. That is something that some players do, is where
he sings to himself a lot of the time to music.
And some people will kind of say out loud what their strategies are going to be, or what their builds are, or what they need to remember in the game. So if you ever get a camera shot of a player right at the start, some of that is very deliberate.
Do you mutter at all while you play?
Yeah, I try to talk to myself the start of a game, and I also mutter some profanity as I lose later on. So.
Oh, I certainly do that as well. I believe when I'm playing, my lips are trying to my subconscious is trying to talk through my lips and get help for my situation here. But right now it is the double racks opener once again for ByuN. So we'll see if he's going to go for the 2 Reaper or the 3 Reaper. The thing about this is there's a lot of variety that can come out of this. Like, first off, there's a build that looks exactly like this. That's 3 racks Reaper, where you make a lot of Reapers. That's a very strong one. Of course, you can go into the 3 racks play like we saw. You can go. There's actually a 4 racks follow-up. There's a factory follow-up. There's a lot of different things that you can end up pulling off with this build. So, like, I really like this opener from ByuN. I hope that he can get maybe a slightly better position this game, though.
Yeah. I'm glad that you pointed out that there are so many different types of builds here. It's kind of like, you know, you see the first 2 racks come down, you think, oh, it might be the same game, but it's kind of like you see the pawn go to E4 in chess, right? There's so many different variations of a game you can play from there, and we're already seeing a new iteration of that build. It's Reaper into Marine immediately, and the command center is going to go down.
So 2 Reapers into a Marine.
I think the Marine is set up to try to actually catch the Overlord that basically scouted him last game right away. Reynor's very okay with sending an Overlord in and even losing it early just to confirm what's going on.
For sure. Well, I mean, if you lose an Overlord, but it's kind of a planned loss, it's not going to be that bad. Now, he actually, with that first Reaper, gets a drone. Normally, we don't talk about the initial Reaper harassment very much because it just damages lanes. But a drone kill is very good here from ByuN. That's going to give him, you know, a little bit of a better feeling than what we saw him dealing with before losing that first game, because normally you don't expect that.
So, ByuN sticking with those 2 Reapers and teching rapidly up to the factory. We may see a starport thrown down after that. And you can see the Marine zones out the Overlord. And this is, I think, the most important development we've had in this game is that Reynor doesn't know what the tech is. And this keeps him guessing. This keeps him unsure. Is it going to be a big 2-base timing attack, or is it going to be a quick third or something else?
Yeah, it looks right now like it's probably going to end up being a 2-on-1. You know, just getting that couple of medevacs very quickly to go with all the Marines that he's making and putting some pressure on like that. I don't mind ByuN falling back into a build like that because, well, that's where he has most of his success, to be perfectly honest. The first 2 medevacs with Marines, that's literally how he won BlizzCon that 1 year.
Well, over here for Reynor, the development continues on. More drones are coming down, more queens are being cranked out. Cloak coming here for ByuN. And that's the first real tell of what kind of game we're going to have. He wants to go for some harass and try to get some pressure built on here. Very differently from game one, where he wanted to kind of brute force his way onto the map with the Marines. He's going to play a bit more of a safer game that's going to allow him to get, I think soon, a healthy third command center. We're either going to see a bunch of barracks or the command center. It's going to be one of the two.
Kind of cool to see him go into the Cloaked Banshees from here. You know, this is one of the possible follow-ups, but you know, I was definitely thinking it would be a couple medevacs, and if he can have Reynor thinking that type of thing as well, you know, you fly those Banshees in, if there's not a Spore, you are going to lose a lot of drones. In fact, I believe we saw that with Cure vs. Dark yesterday, right, where it was something like 24 drone kills due to no Spore being ready.
Right. And so, in the meanwhile, by the way, the Lings do spot the Banshee, and he actually comes down here just to confirm. He might have just seen the blip there for a second and said, is that a medevac or a Banshee? It's a Banshee. Got it. And, whoa! Okay. Remember, you know, when you see the Banshee out, I think it's easy to forget, you know, we see Oracles take damage all the time, but the Banshee can't heal. So, you know, if it takes even any free shots earlier on, it's a lot harder to actually come in here and hit anything at all, especially with a Spore available here. So, in fact, he's going to just straight up lose that. And, yeah, kind of a humiliation
bad.
There. That was really bad.
That is not how that's supposed to go down.
Yeah.
Like, he flew too far. He had already taken damage. He bought Cloak for a single Banshee, which is not even that common, right? Normally you get 2 Banshees if you're going to get
another
Cloak.
corner cutter, right?
Yeah, so like he spent quite a bit of money and got literally 0 off of that other than forcing Spores.
Yeah, and Reynor was pretty smart. It was subtle, but he made sure to run his queens directly underneath the Banshee, so it looked like there was not going to be vision. And then, in fact, he was already stuck on the other side, and the Spore allowed Reynor to finish it off. So it was a good little tactic from him. And so Reynor is just continuing to cruise. He's going to be eventually at an altitude where his macro is going to be looking so good. As more drones come out, as the more his economy balloons out. And we haven't really seen ByuN even make a scratch on him yet. Now, ByuN's not in terrible shape yet, but losing the Banshee does make it harder to create opportunities here now that ByuN's actually on the map with Marine Medevac.
Yeah. It is kind of a hard position for him. You know, I wish that he had some sort of damage. A link counterattack coming up, but the wall is closed. Looks like we're going to have these Marines elevated up, but yeah, that is a serious amount of queens pushing that right back.
And you can see that ByuN knows it's time to bail. He's going to have to find something else to do. I think there's barely enough to pick up everything. In fact, I think it's just enough to pick up Marines, so he's got to figure out what to do with his tank if he does get pinned. Reynor's playing a very, very passive game, even with ByuN on the map. He hasn't gone for a counterattack yet. He hasn't gone to try to surround this army either. He's basically keeping... Okay, he's set up behind the bushes here to intercept this.
Well, he does stop those Banes from moving forward. Chases them back for a moment. High grass not going to help Reynor quite enough there. 4 bases are up for Reynor at this point. ByuN, well, the command center is almost done. Like, he's going to be able to go ahead and land his third pretty quickly, as he does have, for the most part, map control. But everything has fallen flat so far for ByuN.
That is correct. I mean, ByuN has really not been able to find anything, and we're even seeing a couple more Marines get shaved off over here. And, you know, when you see these little groups of units get picked off, the tank goes down, the Marines, I'm sure some of them are going to get picked up and get away. You're not seeing ByuN accumulate the kind of mass that he needs to actually force a situation. Instead, he roams the map only to pick up and try to leave.
Yeah. Reynor really has blocked everything magnificently. His queens have been in position just about every single time. Plenty of Lings, plenty of Banes. The creep spread is still pretty good. ByuN is going to take his third. He's going to keep trying to find something. He's bringing some tanks over here, but the creep spread is so far out, it will take him a while to get to any hatcheries.
The Lings up here at the... well, hold on a second. There's going to be a little bit of a push down here. I don't know. How much is actually in this push? I feel like we're seeing the edges of it. Is it?
It's an okay amount, but it's nothing like to write home about. We do have a counterattack going into the natural. Just bust down that depot immediately with some Banes going after these SCVs. Reynor again with a magnificent counterattack.
Yeah, the Lings are going to come in here, and it does feel like a bit of a Groundhog's Day series so far at Tosis. We're going to have to cast the same game over and over until we get it perfectly, because it's another Ling counterattack in here that may devastate ByuN enough that there's just no way he's going to be able to last too much longer in this game.
Oh, 18 SCVs, not quite as many as the previous game, but really Reynor has control of absolutely everything. 5 bases up, 1-1 about to finish, rolling in with Ling Bane towards his third base. GG, a very dominating 2-0 advantage here for Reynor.
Yeah, and I gotta say, this is kind of moving along a little bit faster than I expected, Artosis. You know, a best of 5 usually can be a pretty dramatic back and forth, but it does seem like Reynor is really stopping ByuN from getting anywhere near late game. You know, most of the games today have been very long. They've been very dramatic. I think we've probably broken, especially after, you know, the first 2 days, a lot of records in StarCraft 2 for overall length of games.
I think so.
But it doesn't seem like this series is going to be producing them. And frankly, it doesn't seem like ByuN is a player who's able to navigate a game where he can grow into the size that he's able to grapple with Reynor. Reynor is able to, A, scout perfectly, B, defend without ever over-defending. He never spends more than he needs. C, control the map. Like this tactic right here, look, he had the queens just underneath the Banshee. That got shot down. I guess this is our other highlight, which is basically ByuN getting killed here. But
well, these counterattacks are really destroying ByuN. You know, he's the one that wants to be out on the map dealing damage. He wants to keep the pressure on and utilize his strong game sense and micro, but Reynor is finding these holes for ByuN where like everything's been defended well enough that he can send a reasonable sized group of Zerglings or maybe even some Banelings as well for that counterattack. And ByuN is just not ready for it.
Yeah. So we need to see ByuN really stabilize in mid-game. He's been tripped up a lot here. He's I think attacked in with Marines when he probably shouldn't have in game 1. Didn't do himself any favors there either. I think kind of almost following the build to a fault, right? Like you're following a guide or something you read on how to do the build and not appreciating the situation he was in. And in game 2, I mean, okay, you're going to do 1 cloak Banshee. You have to not lose that Banshee. There's more to it than that, of course, but let's intro our players first. In the bottom left, in the red, our Terran player, he is ByuN. And in the upper right, in the blue, our Zerg player, he is Reynor. And yeah, to what I was saying before we had to intro the players here, I mean, ByuN hasn't really created any opportunities in the 2 games we've seen.
Yeah.
It's not been a back and forth.
I can't disagree. Yeah, like has he done any actual damage to Reynor so far?
Basically, no.
He killed a drone with a Reaper, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of shocking because honestly, ByuN has been playing really, really well. You know, he took down like Dark, who's another of the world's best Zergs and a world champion. It's kind of wild. I wonder if maybe he's doubting himself here. He certainly doesn't look as strong as what we've seen.
Well, Reynor has quite the reputation. You know, a lot of these players who compete in GSL, you know, for a while took a lot of pride in the fact that Korea was historically the strongest region, but now Europe is a real threat, and I think that pressure kicks in a little bit, if I could psychoanalyze for a second, you know. And here is he wants to prove something, but Reynor, we got to point out, he's so masterful at shutting down whatever happens early on. It's not just that he defends it. It's that he almost judo flips it on its back.
Yeah.
And pins it down and takes it out in a way that, you know, it kind of, it can intimidate the Terran. It can discourage you from really engaging at all, right? Because everything feels wrong when you do it. Now, the problem for ByuN is that ByuN is a player who's built his career and his success and a world champion championship, by the way, because it's easy to forget, off of getting in your face, off of getting up there and punching you in the nose and controlling the game and doing all that. But it does seem like Reynor's just very good at circumventing whatever ByuN's trying and then turning it on its head.
Well, we're going to see if he's able to do it this time. It is going to be the full 3 Reapers finally here from ByuN. He's actually killing a couple Lings already, putting some more damage onto these drones as well. And, you know, there's a very fast third here also, so there's going to be another area that can be harassed. 2 drones end up falling as well as the Lings, so this is the best opener so far for ByuN.
And we should point out that this is the build that ByuN was having success with in the first 6 months of the year.
Yeah.
He actually did variations outside of the mainline build. Only he's finally going to go into that right now. One thing about the 3 Reapers, it's not easy to do, but you can kill the hatch with this.
Yeah, it happens sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like kind of a blunder from Zerg if you end up losing that. It's like it's not expected damage, right?
No, but you can force the queen off the creep, and but the thing is, you have to have already committed this down. So I think this is things, and you could see we just caught that. I could read the. I think that in Grady said, "What is this?" Like,
yeah.
like what am I doing?
No, I could read it. He said Artosis is the best.
Yeah. He said, I hate your casting taste, Leslie. I said, hey, turn off the stream. No, but I think he's regretting the set of decisions, as small as they may be, to where he moved the Reapers. He didn't create any opportunities. You saw him fire at the creep tumor and not kill it either.
Yeah.
That was weird.
It seems a little bit off. I mean, the 3 Reapers opened well, but definitely not the best execution after that. Kind of a funny looking wall, by the way, with that tech lab being part of it, and then he's lifted off, and you know, it's I don't know what to say about that wall, but looking kind of funny. He is getting stim, you know, producing those Marines, getting into the factory, has his 3rd command done. So obviously the other 2 games a lot went wrong. ByuN didn't get a lot done here. You know, maybe there's been a little flub with those grenades, and you can tell that ByuN looks a little bit frustrated, but so far the 3 Reaper opening has been fine. Maybe he can get into his groove here. You know, I do feel if he can really play his own game, he should be able to take the map from Reynor and make this a real series.
I would think so. I would like to see a real fight with these 2. But, you know, the truth is mid-game and even late game especially is earned. It's not given, right? You have to figure out how to even get that far. And, it seems like the stuff that Reynor tried, you know, to try to interfere with everything that Raynor's been doing isn't working. And Reynor is maintaining this kind of laser-like focus in each of these games, continuing to grow. The placement, again, as well, it's just sort of an odd setup here.
It is odd.
It does seem like building placement that is kind of from a player in a chaotic mindset in a game like this, and I can't say we could really blame him, judging from how game 1 and 2 really went.
Well, it's a pretty good wall in case someone's trying to Baneling bust you, but other than that, not so sure. 3rd Command Center going to be flying down here. Double Evo gets started here for Reynor, but he is going to be behind on those upgrades by a reasonable amount. So, like, overall, looking at these situations for our 2 players, I actually do like ByuN's spot a bit more than Raynor's. Quicker upgrades, nice fast 3rd. He hasn't taken any damage. You know, he was annoying to Reynor at the beginning. Yeah, I like ByuN's spot.
You can see ByuN continuing to move through the map here. He's going to try to take this creep out. Reynor does want to come up here and try to drive these medevacs back. We've got the Lings just hitting this command center. It's annoying to deal with. The siege tank on the high ground will drive them out. And I will say, this is looking, like you were saying, Artosis, overall, this is looking like a more doable position by far here for ByuN.
He's adding a lot of barracks right now, getting a few siege tanks in there. He's going to have 1-1 and combat shields done relatively soon, whereas 1-1 is going to be about halfway done here for Reynor. So that is going to open up a little window. You know, being up 2 upgrades when playing against Zerglings with Marines is a very big deal.
And so 1-1 is going to finish. ByuN is just staying on the outside. It doesn't look like he's decided to commit down onto the 4th base just yet, but we're going to have some more medevacs come out, and you know, it's pretty standard to see the Terran try to move out coming up here. Looks like he's going to debate coming forward and hitting those queens. He's got to be careful because Raynor's very good at making it look like there might be a weakness. The queens whip around, kill a medevac, the Lings come in and pick up, you know, any units that can't be scooped up and brought away.
Well, Ling's going around the map right now. Reynor may be looking for a counterattack. Of course, that's how he's really been dominating ByuN so far. I think he knows that ByuN's timing here from moving out and putting pressure on is coming. So that group of Lings kind of waiting as the medevacs come out. Ooh, he might be able to even do either a flank or maybe just force a liftoff here.
Yeah, now he's kind of gone right underneath the actual army here. I don't know if ByuN's going to be able to drop this anywhere of use. I think it would be too much of a commitment to go into the main as well. So I think this is going to not do much other than force Reynor to respect and defend the drop.
The Ling's going for that counterattack. ByuN puts up the wall. Very, very important moment right there. but Baneling's going to join in. They can bust down that wall very, very quickly indeed. Double medevac boosting towards Reynor's main. Let's see what he's got up there. A Spore, a few Lings coming up as well, so ByuN is going to have to slow that down.
Yeah, meanwhile, there's a small push over here at the 5th, and I don't see anything to defend just yet, but the Queens of the Banes do come down. A nice spread, and I don't think there's enough material here in the fight until the Lings come in here for Reynor to actually keep this hatchery alive.
All right, the drop, trying to come back down, dropping off just a little bit. Okay, decides to put everything down, but Banelings are going to come up and deny him here from getting any real damage there at that 4th base. Lings coming in against these Marines, but the Baneling speed not yet done, just about to finish.
Yeah, you can see the Marines get that hit on them right now, and a nice spread here from those Banes. I gotta say, you know, ByuN's taking some nice fights, but in the end of the day, Reynor is coming out victorious in each and every one of them. But this fight over here, it does seem like the Ling count, is it gonna thin out enough? No, Reynor just has enough.
Well,
It'll be hard to tell with all those hit point bars. I'm like, is he winning this or losing this? But in the end, yes, it was Reynor that did come out on top.
Well, ByuN is trying to get something done here. His 2-2 finishing up. Of course, 2-2 is on the way for these Lings. Hydra's being added in as well as a Hive. So Reynor continuing that tech forward as well. But right now, he does have those 5 bases secured against just 3 of ByuN's.
Nice pickups once more. He backs up and gets away. Reynor continues to grow despite all pressure here from ByuN, but ByuN hasn't shrunken either. This is a ByuN who's of size as far as supply goes that could be a real threat. And so this game is just now beginning to heat up, and this is the game we were talking about wanting to see, Artos, is was a real mid-game into late-game fight with these two players.
Absolutely. 3-3 is on the way. ByuN just landed his 4th base. Starting to get some Marauders in here. I think he's going to play his Ghostless style here, but we'll see about that. You know, for right now, that's going to be completely fine since it's Lingbane Hydra being created. But this is where ByuN sometimes really shines, right? Like, if he's going basically pure bio, he can keep a lot of pressure on a Zerg.
Well, the Banes are going to come in here now, and the SCVs that are going to be pulled to repair are now going to be picked off. Is he actually going to get the planetary? In fact, I think he's not. In one of the funnier exchanges, ByuN handled that very well. And that's generally considered an overextension if you actually come in there with a lot of Banes and don't kill the planetary when you commit onto it. So we'll see if any opportunities can be created from there. But despite all that, we do have Reynor continuing to grow and max out as both sides are going to fill up their pockets here with more minerals and gas until someone's supply starts to drop.
It is starting to look like a pretty scary army here for ByuN. Maxed out, doing the drop in that picture-in-picture. In the meantime, on the main screen, we have the Lingbane Hydra coming down, trying to remove these tanks. There are some mines mixed in there as well. The bio going up the ramp, going after this expansion. Does Reynor have enough to hold on?
Yeah, and I think ByuN decides to back up. This may be the wise decision here. He's actually going to tear down these rocks instead and make this a bigger opening. A small drop comes in at the top, but he has to pull out once again because the Banes are just going to be too much of a threat. Meanwhile, a big attack coming down here. I don't know if it was a good idea to open those rocks, but it feels like it lets these Banelings and Hydras and Lings just spill through and take even more bites.
Well, the Bane Hydra backing up now, getting back onto that very powerful creep. ByuN loading up. What is his plan here? Where can he go that can't be seen? Like, Reynor is really spread nicely. It's going to be hard to sneak any drops in.
Yeah. Reynor, though, is also not out of control as far as the map. I think that ByuN's really made him kind of defend and be a little bit more fearful of taking more on the map. But it's right now 4 base to 6. But this base that we're watching on screen now, this is a really annoying base for the Zerg to hold, especially when there's not creep on the low ground behind it. It's just hard to get to. And we're kind of seeing Queens get bled off here. Meanwhile, another big attack here from ByuN. The Banes come down to connect, and ByuN micros away perfectly.
A couple mines up at the top, still alive here as well. ByuN reinforcing, sending up his army, doing a fantastic job, keeping this pressure on. Meanwhile, back home, you know, he is defending a little bit against Lingbane while getting that Ghost Academy, adding command centers. ByuN is really on his game right now.
Yeah, ByuN's going to come in here. These medevacs don't have any heal sustain on them, but ByuN doesn't care. He stims forward and takes the fight. The Hydras are going to come down now. But is this squishy enough? This hatchery solo the drones, and the hatchery are going to be targeted down and picked off as this medevac from ByuN loops around, heads northbound into the main.
Well, I tell you, that he almost held that, right? That hatchery, if it had just a little bit more health, maybe Reynor could have saved it. Unfortunately for him, it goes down, but now he has lurkers on the way. So that's really going to change the flow of this game. Can he positionally protect these bases after those lurkers are out?
So I think that killing that hatchery over at 3 o'clock and exploiting this position, ByuN is starting to create a game that I think he can win. We've got another drop I almost missed here in the picture-in-picture at the bottom right. But this is forcing more Lings to pull back, which is going to make the position on the main screen here that much more vulnerable.
Still some scans going down from ByuN. He's searching for more bases to harass. It's kind of funny to see. He's like, oh, do you have something top left yet? I'll go there. No, nothing. Okay. Well, back into the mid. Here he goes, stimming up that ramp, going after the hatchery. A lot of Ling Bane coming in. I love the parasitic bombs coming down as well. And he has to back up. Nice mine hit on those Banes. And ByuN is being pretty efficient right now, it feels like.
Yeah, ByuN is really playing the kind of game he needs to play, but Reynor's supply is always hovering right at the top. So everything he loses, he's able to remake, although the coffers are getting a lot smaller here. But I am starting to feel like Reynor could be broken. If this game stays the way it is for the next few minutes, I think that it's possible that Reynor is cracked.
Well, right there, he's not going to be cracked because he does have those 3 lurkers. You know, the lurker defense should be able to help him kind of stabilize some of these bases a bit better. Ooh, that medevac getting out with almost 0 health left. Getting a drop off into the main base. Still, you can see ByuN multitasking on multiple fronts, doing these attacks, picking off drones, microing his best. But as you said, you know, Reynor, you can't get him off that max.
No, Reynor is basically absorbing blow after blow after blow and still staying the same size. I mean, the only time he's smaller is in between things hatching from the eggs, right? But he's not been, you know, to the point where he's going to get oppressed and pushed and killed here. In fact, he's still got a very robust army size, and it almost seems like right now Reynor may be trying to counterattack Artosis.
Well, it does look that way. That is a lot of Banelings and Lurkers. You can definitely take down a Planetary with all of that. The Banes, though, going forward. Oh, man, look at that blinding cloud. The Banelings trying to surround everything. A good split there on the Ghosts, and Reynor does end up getting the Planetary, but he is going to lose everything, I think.
I think that Reynor hit every objective in that attack. And even though we saw the Zerg get killed off, basically Reynor won the fight because ByuN is so behind in supply. And look at this, small things like lurkers being sent around the map to basically curb any kind of counterattack. Reynor really understands where the Terran's going to be weak and win.
Well, that was an amazing kill on that Planetary for sure, but a lot of Ghosts did survive, right? So ByuN has a lot of really high-quality late-game units. These Ghosts are going to pay for themselves multiple times for him. We'll see if he's able to continue to push forward, kind of refill his SCVs, get those command centers on mining locations, and hold off these additional attacks from ByuN.
It looks like he's finally able to... well, hold on a second. We got a huge attack coming in over here. It's going to force us to lift off. Are there tanks or Widow Mines or anything that can actually deal with all of these Banes?
Yeah, that's a hard one. Kiting back as much as he can. I don't see any tanks in that vicinity. We'll end up getting rid of them, eating some as well. The command center gets saved. The Orbital flying over to the right-hand side there, but loses some more SCVs. He's down to 52. It's not the end of the world, but we're getting a little bit low as far as economy for ByuN.
Yeah, and I don't know if ByuN is remaking the SCVs at all. I mean, it's not in the production tab. Oh, there's one being made, but, you know, he needs a lot more than that, right? So how quickly can he catch up? We have 19 workers killed, putting these total down to 51, and that's probably going to continue to drop here.
And Reynor just rolling around with Ling Bane, trying to get that additional damage. Lurkers coming up to support as well. Look at this, parasitic bombs all over those medevacs, hurting a lot of the long-term units of ByuN here. ByuN stimming forward, kind of chasing everything back, but the Lurkers burrowing up that ramp. You are not going to break that.
Yeah, and you can see now all of this getting gunned down. ByuN with a counterattack, but it's not a lot. It's pretty much all ByuN has in this counterattack. And an even smaller counterattack that in some ways might be more effective here from Reynor is continuing to keep that body count of SCVs so high.
ByuN needs to get more and more and more damage right now. He's down to 38 workers against 76. Twice the economy here from Reynor. Still has a lot of bases. ByuN has been doing a good job on the right side of the map, although there is kind of a hidden base there over towards the bottom right that we haven't really seen. The gold base is being very sneakily mined by Reynor.
And even though ByuN is winning fights here and there, he's basically not curbing the economy. He's killing expansions, but there's so many now for Reynor that he's continuing to remake his army. And I'm worried now that Reynor's basically stabilized and all threats are gone, he's going to come in here for one more big swing right at this base we're looking at right now. Well,
if he kills that one again, that might spell doom here for ByuN. ByuN really can't take any more economic damage. As you can see, with 46 SCVs, he's trying to recover with that still, trying to keep these bases down and get his supply back up because, I mean, 120 supply, this is nowhere near the max that he was sitting at 5 minutes ago.
Right. Well, Reynor, it seems like he's just going to make a few more lings here, and he's going to just bait out each of these Widow Mines. In fact, we see the Unburrow, but that should open this position up. And are we going to have the full-on attack coming here? Yes, we will. The command center is basically going to be used to try to block and allow the Terran units to escape, but as we get further in here, the Banes are going to connect, the SCVs are going to be killed off here. We actually have ByuN now at 26 workers, Artosis.
Oh, it's looking pretty bad for our Korean Terran player here. He clears out the attack. He does save the orbital, but his economy is terrible at this point.
And it's funny, if we could really describe the one thing that happened to ByuN in this entire game, it was the workers killed over and over. Reynor has basically stayed at 74, 75 workers the whole game. Where ByuN, I think he was somewhere, I don't know how high it was, maybe in his...
He had a good 70 workers at one point.
70-something, right? Now it's down to 29, and I still don't see workers being made. And there's a point where you get low enough in workers, you can't even remake them and then, you know, not just be killed by a counterattack. And we may be in that range right now.
Well, you know what? If he can get rid of these couple of bases here, all that's left is the gold as far as mining, right? A lot of these bases are out of resources for Reynor. So even though he is certainly in a much better position right now and mining a lot more, he doesn't actually have that much left over, right? He has taken damage this game as well. Oh. Oh, very painful seeing him stim up the ramp into those lurkers. Does end up clearing quite a bit, cloaking his ghost here, but there is detection. GG is called, and Reynor takes down ByuN 3-0.
A really impressive game here from Reynor, and you could see why he is so respected and also so feared. ByuN, one of the best aggressive Terrans, most innovative push Terrans we've seen in the history of the game, a former world champion, was unable to make a dent, unable to take a game in a best of 5, Artosis.
Yeah.
And so it's Reynor who survives to the next level here at Gamers8.
Yeah, really, really well done from Reynor. He is on today, and he'll be meeting Clem in that round of 4. That is going to be quite the TVZ.
We're going to go to the interview now and see how Reynor's feeling. Take it away on the stage.
Reynor, impressive match. Tell me a little bit about how you prepared for this one.
I played a lot of ZVTs, and accidentally I think it became my best matchup. I thought for a while it was ZVP, and then now I'm winning ZVTs, so it's a little bit weird. But yeah, it looked a little bit convincing, I would say, especially the first 2 games.
سألنا رينر على طول السؤال الأول في البطولة كيف قدر إنه يفوز المباراة هذه بهالسرعة. كان يقول إنه صراحة هذه كانت أفضل ماتشاب بالنسبة لي لأني كنت أتدرب أنا على الماتشاب هذه من أول بطولة. إنه كنت أنا مجهز للحظة هذه فقط إنه أقدر أواجه الريس هذا. الزي في تي بالنسبة له هو أحسن ماتشاب يقدر يلعبها وهذا اللي سواه حرفيا كان جاهز لها بس.
2 months ago at DreamHack Valencia, DreamHack Valencia, no, that's not it at all. At ESL SC2 Masters in Jönköping, you had a very close match against ByuN, still pulled away the victor, but it was way, way, way tighter. Now, is it this focus on ZVT that has allowed you to kind of pull away this way, or has something else changed in that time?
Well, I think I would like to say that this is a little bit of a statement of how much I put effort and heart and soul into this tournament. I think I'm way better than what I was at Jönköping, and this kind of shows it, I think.
زي ما تشوفون رينر في سؤاله الثاني سالناه هل التجهيزات اللي هو مر فيها في البطولات الماضيه خلته يكون جاهد للزي في تي ماتش اب هذه، لكن يقول لا صراحه انا هذا اشوفه انا ستمنت بالنسبه لي، او هذا شيء انا زي ما تقول كلمه اقدر اقولها لكل الناس اللي قاعدين يتابعون انه انا اكون جاهز دائما للماتش اب هذه، خصوصا انه في الشيء اللي حدث معي في اليون شوبينج قدر انه يصير في البطوله هذه، فعشان كذا هو قدر يفوز على بيون بهالسرعه.
Now, with this victory in playoffs, you're moving into the bracket in a match against Clem. We've seen you guys play against each other here and there, but this is on the big stage. This is in a best of 5. So tell me a little bit about what it means to go up against him and how you think it's going to go.
I'm not gonna lie, Clem is very good, especially online. He beat me for a long time. I was like losing 13 series in a row for a while. But this is the big stage, you know. I have more experience here. I truly shine, I think, when I play offline. So I'm a little bit more confident than what I would be at home. But Clem is a very good player. He's my little bro, and yeah, I'm happy he won. But I think maybe I have to stop him now.
زي ما تشوفون سالنا رينر عن مباراه السيمي فاينلز اللي راح يشهدها ان شاء الله بتكون ضد كلم زي ما احنا عارفين بعد فوزه في المباراه الاولى اليوم، فسالناه هل انت جاهز للماتش هذه؟ يقول انه صراحه دائما اذا انا واجهت كلم انا بخسر قدامه في الاونلاين تورنمنتس، في اخر 13 سيريس هم تواجهوا مع بعض دائما يكون هو الخسران، لكن يقول انه زي ما انا اشوفه لاعب جدا ممتاز واشوفه زي الاخ بالنسبه لي، انا لازم انه جاء الوقت اللي اوقفه، وفي البيج ستيجز انا دائما يكون عندي الاكسبيرينس الاكثر.
It's a feather in the cap for EU that both of you are doing so well. It's exciting. I can't wait to see that match tomorrow. But is there anything you'd like to say with all the fans watching today, cheering you on and hoping that you do well?
Thank you guys for cheering for me. I'm very glad that I won today. Hopefully I can show great games tomorrow as well. I'm looking to win it all. Obviously that's my goal. And shout out to all my fans. Shout out to Basilisk and shout out to Red Bull. Thank you guys so much.
زي ما تشوفون اعزائي المشاهدين في النهايه اعطينا فرصه رينر يقول كلمه لكل الناس المعجبين اللي جالسين يدعمونه في اللحظه هذه، وكان جالس يتكلم يقول انا ودي اشكر كل الفانز اللي جالسين يسووا لي سبورت في اللحظه هذه، زياده على كذا كل الناس اللي جالسين يشوفون انا راح اقدر اكمل البطوله ان شاء الله، وبقدر اني احاول اجيب الكاس، وراح تشوفون جيم جدا مميز غدا ان شاء الله، وايضا يشكر المنظمه اللي هو يمثلها اللي هي بازلسك، وزياده على كذا ريد بول على كل شيء قاعدين يقدمونه له.
Well, Reynor is very excited about his games here. A lot to be proud of, but let's check in with the desk and see what they think.
خلونا على طول نروح للاستوديو التحليلي نتكلم عن هذه المباراة 3-0 الرينر، مو طبيعي اللي احنا شاهدناه، أكيد المحللين عندهم كلام كثير.
A statement, not my words, the words of Reynor here after this series, not only for the fans as to how much he's actually prepared, but also putting all of his future opponents on check here for Gamers8. Joining me here to my left-hand side, we have ZG and Wardy to look at this one. This happened faster than I thought it was going to. Reynor looked fantastic in the highlights brought to you by STC.
I did not expect this at all. I was saying in the pre-show that I just really hope that both players play at their A game, and Reynor clearly was from start to finish. ByuN definitely looked off, and then just kind of overall worse, honestly, you know, and that does happen, but yeah, it definitely was Reynor's day here today.
This was not a good series from ByuN. You know, losing that bounty we just saw a few seconds ago. Run by is unstoppable. He just didn't have a good series, and sometimes that happens. And I think sometimes you play against someone like Reynor, they make it look like that as well, right? Like, I think Reynor's playing at a very good level, especially ZVT. He's very serious about this tournament. Like, that was a very stone cold, normal interview from Reynor. Like, no fun, no quirks. Like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna, you know, maybe have to stop Clem, but he said that in a very serious voice as well. And I feel like that's just displayed more. He just showed us in the ZVT. Like, he is meaning business. He's not messing around, and I think sometimes you just make your opponents look worse than they are.
Right.
I think that's exactly what happened here.
No, I think you say it perfectly. It feels like Reynor didn't break a sweat, and as you say, there is a difference in what we just heard from him. There is a difference in attitude. Normally, very jovial, very happy, very kind of having a great time. It's serious here at Gamers8 for Reynor, and look at that result that we see from him. Now the question is here, as these highlights finish up, him going up against Clem, he knows his opponent so well coming up in that round of 4. His opponent knows him so well. They converse with each other a lot, and here's the confirmation now. Clem and Reynor find themselves in a round of 4 match to determine who goes into the final. That is exciting.
Everything's exciting about this bracket. There's a chance there's only one Korean fighting in the round of 4, because of course we could have Cyril win the next match as well. But particularly for Clem versus Reynor, I know he said it in the interview, like it's not online, so he's probably a little more confident because online Clem in this matchup is amazing. But it really is, I mean, hopefully the best of their career, because Clem's clearly playing at his best, and it seems like he's done away with the offline curse or whatever you want to call it. And Reynor is taking this tournament the most serious ever. So we could once again see basically the best form of Terran versus Zerg to ever exist here in the upcoming semifinal.
High stakes on the line here. I'm going to have to interrupt you, sorry, Waddy, as we now are done for this segment. We have to move on. We're going to a break. When we return, we have our next round of 8 on the way here for Gamers8. It's boiling down to just a few players left. Don't go anywhere.